Mayor and City Council meeting, 7:35 p.m. Sorry we're a little late. This is June 6, 2018 at City Hall Complex. I call it now to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And we have Councilman Lucero. Would you lead us on the...
Yes, Mayor. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You may be seated. We did have a pastor for the invocation, but he went ahead and he had to leave. He had another commitment at 7:15 and it got late, so he had to leave. So we'll just thank God for the many blessings He gives us. Going to call to the public. We have one of our state representatives here today. We're honored to have you, Roxana, with us. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor Doyle, Vice Mayor Rojas, members of the council, everybody in the audience, and everyone who's listening. I'm Rosanna Gabaldon. I am the Arizona State Representative for Legislative District 2. I just wanted to make a few comments in regards to what's happening in the state. One of the issues that I wanted to share with is on water. At the beginning of session, well, before session started, Governor Ducey was doing stakeholder meetings, and there was very limited individuals that were invited to these stakeholder meetings. So it wasn't, this is my personal opinion, was not inclusive of people that really needed to be at the table. What came out of those meetings was the governor had some ideas, and the legislature had other ideas, and so not too much happened during the legislative session. Right now, there are two legislators. There is Representative Bowers and Senator Griffin, who are actually having meetings across the state in regards to water issues. They have visited several locations. For example, they were in Casa Grande, they went to Safford, they went to Yuma. They'll be going up north, and I'll be attending their stakeholders meeting, 20-something in Buckeye. But why I'm sharing all this with you, council members and the public, is that I really would like them to come down and have those meetings to actually talk about water issues that are going to impact the entire state of Arizona. Again, these comments that I'm going to be making are my personal opinions on what I'm hearing. In regards to water issues, it is them against us, and so what I'm hearing from stakeholders is that the individuals that are within the active management areas have one opinion, and everybody outside of the active management areas have another opinion. And what I'd really like is to see is the state of Arizona to look at the entire state in regards to water issues. Water policy is very important. One of the most important, I believe, or one of the most important is the 1980 Groundwater Management Act, which actually addresses the area within the active management areas. So again, because of the non-action of the legislature, because of this disagreements between the governor and the legislature, we didn't come to too much of agreement in regards to water policy. So I'm hoping that next legislative session we will be addressing more of looking at water policy as opposed to having these kind of, as I put them, cut and paste policies. So thank you for that. The next thing I'd like to say very quickly is I've had the honor of being reappointed onto the Southeast Arizona Citizens Forum Board through the International Boundary and Water Commission. We will be having a meeting in Santa Cruz County. And what I'd really like to do is when we're going to be meeting in Cochise County this month, and we have what's called future agenda items. And one of the things that I'm going to hope hopefully I will be suggesting, and hopefully my fellow committee meetings, my board members will agree, is to have an update on the Nogales Wash and IOI. I think that's very important. But what I'd like to do is actually encourage, when we do have this meeting in September in Santa Cruz County, that the public does come out, because it's very, very important that we hear from you. We are a citizens advisory board, and we really do want to talk about the issues that are impacting our community, and that's an issue that I think really impacts all of us here in Santa Cruz County. And the last thing I want to address, I'm taking a lot of time, but if you can give me about another minute or so, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that. As I was actually able to attend a meeting in regards to with ADOT, Arizona Department of Transportation, as well as the U.S. Department of Transportation, to talk about build grants. That's I guess the old, what's called the Tiger grants, and I'm very hopeful that we will actually talk about that at the meeting. There was individuals that were from border communities, and what we had was we had a lot of agreement in regards to projects along the border that we can address for infrastructure and transportation. And ADOT is I'm really hoping that the State Route 189 Mariposa Road is one of the projects that ADOT is going to approve, so we can get that going. But the last thing I wanted to address is there was a bill that actually came through, and unfortunately part of that bill was taken out in regards to what I call phase 3. So phase 1, phase 2 is actually State Route 189 Mariposa Road, and phase 3 was actually going to be exit 12 and 17. And one of the things that came out of that is cost saving of, I believe the number was $12 million. And what I'd like to do is actually start having stakeholder meetings in regards to how we can get the funding back, because I know that it's a P3, it's a public-private partnership in regards to that funding, and I really want to be able to start having these conversations now as opposed to later. So what I'd like to do is, that's why I wanted to suggest to Mayor and Council and staff that we begin those conversations sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosana, and thank you for touching on the IOI. I think we have another speaker here that wants to also touch on the IOI, Mr. Andre Bonoran. If you'll take the podium and state your name and address, please.
Andre Bonoran, 693 East Frontage Road, Nogales, Arizona. Thank you, Council, Mayor, Mr. Felix. I'm just here to let you guys know there's 20 feet of exposed IOI in the Nogales Wash. Right where manhole 89 failed, and whatever it was, $1.65 million later. Same scenario is like 500 feet south of that. The potential for it to break directly into the wash. Right now it is in the wash, exposed. Water runs right over it. It's been brought to certain parties. I don't know how the extent of who knows what knows. I'm letting you guys know. I know ADQ knows, and other officials, I don't know to the extent. That and another issue that you guys have been dealing with is Peña Blanca Highlands and the 10-inch force main that crosses the Nogales Wash as well. Monsoons are almost here. So we're going to deal with another year of keeping an eye on it, fix it when it breaks, hope it doesn't break. But as far as repairs, and obviously not yet. And just something for you guys to consider. That's what I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bonoran, for bringing that out to public. Even though it's not the city's, the IOI doesn't belong to the city, and being that it's out there, I guess, close to Rio Rico, well, IBWC should be notified, I believe. I don't know if they know about it or not, but they should be looking into that, because eventually if it becomes a problem, it's going to be their problem. They can save a lot of money. Instead of going into the millions right now that's not flooded, they should do something about it. So maybe we can somehow staff let them know. And the Highland, well, I leave that in your hands, Dr. Felix. And I guess, but we will look. Thank you for bringing that up to our attention, because we all suffer as a community, you know. So we want to make sure that doesn't repeat itself. We'll get the required due diligence on it to let the people that are responsible for that take action on it. Thank you. We also have Police Chief Bermudez.
Thank you, Mr.
Enlighten
Mayor.
us a little bit here.
Members of the council, excuse me, members of the council, Mr. Felix, members of the audience, I'd like to formally welcome and introduce our newest addition to the Nogales Police Department. We have Officer Miguel Diaz, and Miguel Diaz is, if you want to start, stand over here. Miguel Diaz is 24 years old. He's the graduate of Rio Rico High School. During his time at Rio Rico High School, he was an explorer with U.S. Border Patrol, and also he was part of the Rio Rico law enforcement program. I've welcomed him privately, but I'm taking this opportunity to welcome him and formally introduce him publicly to Council and most importantly to the community. And I'd like to welcome Officer Diaz and his family, which are most of them are here, to the Nogales Police Department family. So welcome. We look forward to working with you. Yes. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, Officer Diaz, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming and joining us here.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add, Officer Diaz is a perfect example of the lateral program that we're encouraging. He's certified by Arizona Post, so he's probably going to have about a month and a half of training, and he's going to hit the ground running. He has prior experience with the Santa Cruz County Sheriff's Office. Again, formally introduce him and welcome him to the Nogales Police Department family.
Again, thank you, and thank you so much for the family. I see the family love and support there. That'll always encourage you in your new career. Thank you so much for your support to our new officer. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Chief, for that introduction. We also have Ms. Vicki Barton would like to say a few things here.
I just want to report that our roof is fixed. It's very
All
exciting.
right, yes, yes. Right on time.
I want to thank you and pass this card around that the kids made for you. Thank you all very much for helping us.
Thank you, Vicki, for the great job you're doing there. Appreciate that.
An Uber help?
Yes, I did. I actually put the roof on.
Is it okay if we take a picture of it? That way we don't have to read every name right now.
The sky's the limit if you have a roof over your head.
That's a big problem.
We better fix the roof.
That's great. I like that.
It's raining.
Oh, yeah. Let me see here. I wasn't teasing anyone when I said that. Yeah, great. Really nice. It's got here where it says sky's the limit. You have a roof over your head. Sol jurado. office, all the children there, from boys and girls that signed it. Very nice and very encouraging. You know, it's very rewarding to see their appreciation and the great work you're doing here for our community, keeping those kids kind of, you know, as good citizens, you know, and entertained there. Thank you so much. Well, it's not only entertaining, they learn a lot. Okay, thank you. I think we're almost down to our last call to the public. We have Guillermo Valencia. All right, Guillermo, please come up to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Guillermo Valencia, 2830 North Linero Place. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. I want to give you a quick update. As you know, the Port Authority works on different issues for our community here. And as chairman, one of my responsibilities was to be going to the IEDOT meetings and pursuing different issues regarding infrastructure needs down here. And we've been looking at Mariposa Road for years, probably 8 years, 9 years maybe. And the last 3 years, we've been coming to a head on this project. And different versions, different ideas have been thrown around by community. But we all know that something had to be done here at Mariposa Road. And we formulated a big solution that included both the exits at Rio Rico and Ruby Road, along with Mariposa Road. That was a big, very a project that was very expensive, and it was a hard sell to the state, but we were trying to get the whole full build out of everything. We did not get that. We needed to have private party participation. We were trying to get some legislation passed that would allow us to generate some revenue that would go ahead and make up some of the deficit in the funding. That didn't happen. Rosana mentioned that we learned a lot of lessons from that, and we will continue to pursue that for other infrastructure needs that we have. But here in the present, what happened is State Route 189, we had that approved in last year's budget, the phase 1, and we were pursuing the full build-up, which is phase 2. And luckily, we had a lot of support. As you know, we had gotten $25 million from the state legislature. Basically, the governor had authorized to go directly to State Route 189, as long as we moved that project up 2 years. So it was we were really under the gun to try to get something done for phase 2. ADOT applied for and got a $25 million extra from a Tiger grant, and that was because there was buy-in from the city and the county, and they agreed to participate. Right? So all in all, there was $63 million that the community actually advocated for and brought to the table, and that made the decision for the full build-out of State Route 189 kind of easier, right? There was only about a $7 million deficit, bringing the project to about $140 million. So what happened yesterday was that at the ADART study session, the recommendations that are going to go forward to the board next week on Friday is that State Route 189 is approved with a full build-up, phase 1 and 2. So I congratulate you, all of you. Yeah, all of you. It's been a tremendous effort. It's been a tremendous effort by all. You know, we have a strong support from throughout the state, because they all realize how important State Route 189, Mariposa Road, and Nogales is to the state's economy. And it was a long time coming, and it's going to be a great project. If approved, and we think, you know, that it should go out, it should be approved without a hitch. Design will start in 2019, and construction shortly thereafter, and the finish date would be about 2021. So that's right.
Great. Well,
Good job.
yeah, we thank you, Memo, and Port Authority, the fresh produce industry, all the stakeholders that have been working.
And I should mention that we had a strong contingent from Nogales show up there yesterday. Yeah, right. We had a very strong. We had people from the Fresh Produce Association and give testimony, not just show up. Okay, Fresh Produce, Maquiladora, Richard Rubin, Lance Juggemeyer, Bruce Bracker from the county showed up. Rudy Moleta from the county showed up. Councilman Lucero, Councilman Barona, thank you for showing up. Your support is very important. I was there. We all gave testimony, and there was more people there. And really, the comments from the ADOT board were, you guys did what you had to do to get this on our table and to make an impact so that we understood the critical need for this, and you put it up front on our table, and you guys did what you need to do. So I congratulate you all.
Well, thank you, and thank the council. I still have a little bit of a stiff neck from those first years when we pulled our chain to take us here and there, but thank you
Yeah,
for
it was
pulling,
it was a lot of monthly trips to ADOT board meetings because you have to keep the issue alive, and that's the thing that we have to do going forward with whatever other infrastructure projects we have that we're going to ask them for. So that's the key. You have to keep it on top and keep it alive.
It seemed like a long road, but now that we're getting there, it just feels great.
Mayor, I've been at it 3 years, and I've been going for most of those ADOT board meetings for 3 years.
I know that. I know. We want to thank you.
And I wasn't the one that started. There were other people before me that had been going. So
and you're just
it's
a
long road.
volunteer. You don't get paid by anyone to do that, except for you're doing it for
No. We all did it. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
No,
But
it's a
group
big
project,
sacrifice.
But
Because I know the long drives you were taking from one end of the state to the other, you know. And thank you. Thanks again for
you bet.
everything
All
you've
right.
done.
I'll come back here and let you know when it's accepted, but you'll probably know before I stand up here in front of you.
Oh, but I want to thank everybody, because we have all from our congressional, from the Senate, from Congress, from our state legislatures, the governor. Everybody's been so involved, and that's why I guess it became such a success, because we had such tremendous support throughout the state.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people gave up their projects in order so that we could have ours, and they know how valuable this project is, because the whole state is going to benefit, the whole nation is going to benefit, but here the state, the corridor, you know, it's amazing, all the work and input and everyone involved did. So thanks to everyone. Thank you so much. Okay, I think that ends the call to the public in a sweet note. Let's see. Going back on the presentations, we had the recognition of Fiestas de Mayo participation. They told us if we could do that tomorrow evening at 6, I believe they wanted it done. Some of the girls were out of town. They were actually flying in today, but they were going to fly in late. So tomorrow everyone's invited, the council, everyone here, and you can invite your friends to give recognition for the Fiestas de Mayo participation for our princesses and queen and everyone involved in that. It was again, it's one of those things that we celebrate annually. It helps the city. It came a little bit on a hard time this year round, but yet they were able to pull it out, and with all respect to the rest of the community. So we want to thank them tomorrow and honor them for their participation at 6 o'clock here at the chamber. I believe we have the chamber, right, Letty, tomorrow? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so we'll go to the next presentation with the Industrial Commission of Arizona. If they'll kind of enlighten us with their program.
Yes, sir. Mayor Doyle, Vice Mayor Rojas, also council members, Dr. Felix, and also Mr. Parra, thank you for having me here today. My name is Jesse Atencio. I'm the interim director for the Arizona Division of Occupational Safety and Health. Who the heck is that, right? So that's state OSHA. Yeah, it is. So it's actually state OSHA. We actually have a lot of partnership programs that we have within the communities that we do. Right now, we're trying to seek to have some type of partnership with the city of Nogales. And the opportunity here is to actually just learn from each other. Also, too, to help bring awareness to some of the hazards that are not normally known by some of our workforces. We deal with a lot of communities in the industries out there, or communities that represent some of the industries, that, you know, there's knowledge gaps. There's people that actually forget what's important and what's not, and what's value and what's not value added. So we want to make sure that we can actually work together in a collaborative way. We do have that enforcement thing, and I promised our executive director, James Ashley, at the ICA that I would not mention that. But we do actually have that. But even before that, we want to make sure that you guys have a collaborative effort to understand that safety is everybody's responsibility. It really is. and it's very common. And we want to make sure that we can flush out some of those things even well before any type of enforcement activity takes place. So right now we actually have about 8 cities and counties and 1 town of Quartzsite, that are part of our partnership program, which is called PEP. That's what we named it. Our PEP program actually has 8 members altogether, and what we've actually been able to show there, we've been actually able to save about $300,000 in significant fines associated with those serious hazards we find. So we think on this collaboration method that we can help you guys grow, learn some of these best practices that are out there, and also to invite some of our larger industries that represent really good programs, like Honeywell, like Raytheon, like Cintas Manufacturing or Cintas Industrial Launder. They do a lot of these good safety programs, and that's kind of some of the things that we want to make sure that you guys have available to you when you join a partnership like this, so that you guys can have other stakeholders and not just take the regulators' word of advice. So that's my kind of short mention on this, and I know you guys are actively considering it to be part of this partnership program, but I can't tell you enough that it's all free. That's what it really turns out to be. It's free help from people like Francisco Mendoza, who has over 15 years as an industrial hygienist, to out there and actually evaluate a program and figure out what's going on, or Javier De Chaudi, who's one of our trainers out of the Tucson office, to do free training for the employees that are out there. Again, right now, City of Yuma, I can take you right now to see what they're doing. Fantastic things are going on in City of Yuma, not only for their employees, but also too for their safety program. And again, it's nobody's responsibility, but it's everybody's responsibility at the end of the day. So that's kind of what I wanted to say from the Industrial Commission, thanking you guys for taking the time out of your busy nights to visit with us or visit with me, and also let you know that our chairman, who's appointed by the governor, Dale Schultz, wanted to be here with me today, but he just had a last-minute engagement session that he could not get out of. So otherwise, he would be with me, and he's very involved with what we do. Okay? I'd like to entertain any questions if you guys have any.
Anyone from the council that would like to ask about some of the OSHA programs or
The price is right.
It is. It's free. And I can't tell much about as far as the community members. We work with local law enforcement in different areas as far as to flush out any other ideas that are out there, because we understand that, safety sometimes doesn't always believe, or it's not always in our big books that we actually have, that are written out there. Sometimes some things are a little bit different. There are anomalies out there. So we want to just make sure that we bring those to the forefront so that we can actually help and again be on that collaborative effort. And as Ronald Reagan said, we not only want to preach what we're from the government, but we really want to make sure that we do help. So we want to make sure that we're out there to help you guys, and it's not just a knock at the door and say we're part of what we're here to do. Okay?
And
thank you.
Conservative as Ronald Reagan.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there we go. We have
Southern New
Councilman
Mexico.
Diaz. Councilman Diaz, I think, has a question.
I have a quick question. What kind of training would you provide the city of Nogales? What programs, or would you send somebody down here to train our staff? How would this take place?
Excellent question, Councilman Diaz. What we will actually do is we'll actually tailor an actual program that supports what we see out there in the field. So we want to make sure that we see that where are the gaps at when it comes to whether it be the training, whether it be the knowledge gap, or whether it be safety awareness. With that, we'll start to develop a training program within the first year that goes over lockout, tagout, and those are some of the systems that are out there. Lockout, tagout, machine guarding, some other ways of vehicle maintenance and vehicle driving records, and it's what we do to make sure that there's really good programs out there so people understand what's available to them and out there. So we will actually try to tailor that to them, and again, it's all free. So we do anywhere from an hour to 4-hour training sessions, so long as we have the actual public or whoever wants to be there to be in that attendance. Yes, sir.
I got a question.
Yes,
So
sir.
if we participate, and you'll probably have once in a while your staff come in and inspect, I guess, the city, the work environment, and if they notice something that's not up to par, do we get docked for it, or do you just help us correct it?
Great question, Mayor Doyle. So there is no citations or penalties that come with what we ever find. What it really is a gentleman's handshake. We just make sure that whoever we leave it with the department head, that they actually abate the hazard. Anything we do with the consultation, which is the side you're going to be working with, is even not allowed to seen by me as the interim director. So anything they find, anything that you guys fix, is all held within the consultation program. There's strict law under 1908, 29 CFR that says they cannot do anything to see any of that information, so long as that you guys are finding and fixing the things along with us. No penalties, no citations.
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to avoid any kind of accidents or any kind of tragedy. So if you can help us in that area, we need improvement.
As I mentioned to Mayor Doyle, If the city doesn't look for the help that we have available to you, everybody is free. Raytheon, Honeywell, as I mentioned earlier, I'm talking about McCarthy Building Companies, Kitchell, Sunt, large construction companies are calling us for help. They're literally okay with that, and they actually have mission statements that say they want to learn their regulator, they want to know more about what's out there, even before it becomes a big issue. So with that type of, confidence, everybody should have that confidence that you can call us. We're actually one of the most progressive states when it comes to working with businesses, both small, medium, and large.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we have another question.
Yes, sir.
Do you do this for the school districts and community college districts?
Yes, sir, we do. So we actually are actively involved with a few of them there in Phoenix and also in Florida. So if there's any opportunity that we can work into something else to help the school district, we can definitely work that route.
Or could you leave your card just so I can pass it on, because I'm on the school board too, so I can pass it on.
Yes, sir. Sure can.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you again so much. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, okay?
We'll be looking forward on the
Yes,
city
sir.
working with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess that puts us next to the public hearing. And number one, extension of the alternative expenditure limitation home rule.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Janet Parrales, Finance Director. We are legally required to have 2 public hearings before you can vote on placing the home rule on the ballot for people for the citizens to vote on. Last time we had the public hearing, Councilman Rojas requested that we do a presentation during the public hearing, so that's what I'll be doing. And then if we do have any questions from anyone in the audience, we can address them, and then the next step would be for you to vote on as to whether you want to put on the ballot or not. So this is just basically the same presentation that I did at a study session, I think it was back in March. And it's just talking about what home rule is and if home rule were not to pass, what would happen. So the state does impose a limitation as to how much a city can spend. This limitation was approved back in 1980, and the purpose was to control expenditures of local revenues and limit future increases in spending. Expenditures are calculated through an adjusted base limit, and the only considerations is any change in population or inflation. So for Nogales, the base is 3.2 million, which was the budget back in 1979, and then the population was 11,740. And then just on a side note, if we were to go to the state-imposed limitation, we would continue to collect the same revenues. However, we would not be allowed to spend them. Okay, so what can we do to not be under the state-imposed limitation? We can go to what is called home rule, and also known as Proposition 404. Home rule allows the city to adopt an alternative expenditure limitation with voter approval at a regularly scheduled election. If it is approved, it is in effect for 4 years, and it's the following year. So the new home rule would take into effect in 2019-2020. And just the voters must approve the home rule prior to the first fiscal year, which is the year that's mentioned there. And so in addition, what is home rule? It's something that the voters of Nogales have voted for since 1998, approved since 1998. Public hearings are held, which is what we're having right now, and City Council supports unanimously, or unanimously. 79 cities approved home rule last year, and in 1 year, Tucson did not pass home rule, and it severely impacted their services. If home rule were not to pass in this election year, we would have to wait 2 years to put it on the ballot again. And at that meaning of a yes vote, the city services continue as is. There's no impact. The city would continue to control its budget. And also, most importantly, this is not a tax increase. This is just to be able to continue to spend what the city collects. The meaning of a no vote, existing city services would be substantially cut. This would include police, fire, building inspections, our parks, our libraries, our utility services. We would, again, just to make it more clear, we would lose the control to create our own budget. And again, same revenues collected, expenditures reduced to state-imposed limitation. And just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at, if the city were to go to the state-imposed limitation, we would only be allowed to spend 19 million. And under home rule, it's 35 million. So you can see the variance in how much we would have to cut back on the budgets for the next 4 years. And then just to give you an idea, and of course those numbers have changed a little bit, but this year's budget is, it says there 35 million. As you've seen, it's gone up a little bit more. So again, a yes vote, we maintain our levels of service. We continue to control our budget. It is not an increase in taxes. This was in Spanish, this is in English, and the same thing. And if you do vote to go ahead and put that on the ballot, we would be sending out this information with our utility billing to all our citizens. If anyone has any questions?
Very good. Thank you, Robert. Councilman,
Oh,
Vice
you're
Mayor.
welcome. You're welcome. Mr. Mayor, I do have a question or a comment. It's an excellent presentation that you did. Now, do we have a campaign at this point for the citizens to be knowledgeable on this information and to vote for the home rule?
So once it's approved, the plan will be to reach out to organizations like maybe Rotary, Lions, and then once the school year starts in August, then we could attend the parent meetings that they have. Usually there's like an open house at the beginning of the school year, so we would attend those and be able to hand out this information and then answer any questions that anyone may have. But we're not allowed to spend money on this, and we're not allowed to influence. We can only educate.
So there are some guidelines.
Yes, there are some limitations as to how actively we can participate.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jen.
Can you go back on a few slides?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. I missed one of them because okay. Maybe we should start from the front scroll.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Luis.
Is there an option to put it on the ballot?
I think it's the next one.
Is there an option? If we don't put on the ballot, then we'd have to go under the state-imposed limitation.
Or mandated, right? Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Jeanette, how long did that take you, that presentation?
To prepare?
No, just right now, the presentation you gave about
5 to 10 minutes?
5
minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 5-10 minutes. That wasn't bad, and it was excellent. I think it was very informative, and that's what the community needs to know.
Yes.
Once they know, then it's easier for them to make a good choice and vote yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
And
Jim.
hopefully, I know we have an individual from the newspaper, and she can help us also by an editorial or something to kind of touch this subject. And
to show the positive side of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeanette. Now we go to liquor license number 7, consideration and possible action of. Oh, okay. I think Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think we officially have to close the public hearing, don't we, Mr.
Oh,
Parra?
that's right.
That's correct.
Yes, yes.
I forgot about that. Sorry about that. Yes, please do.
All right. So, do we have any questions on this public hearing from anyone in the public that would like to ask or comment on? Seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. Thank you so much, Jeanette, for your presentation. And we go to number 7, liquor license. 1, consideration and possible action of liquor license 2018-6, approval of recommendation of the issuance of a special event liquor license application for Nogales Juarez for the 4th of July celebration.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Okay. Open for discussion?
No, Mayor, once again, I will not support this.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll support it.
1 nay?
1 nay.
Okay.
One nay.
For the
All right.
children.
Motion carried. We go to number 8. Orders. 1, consideration and possible action of order 2018-06-037, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, proposing an extension of the alternative expenditure limitation.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have second. Open for discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Seeing none, motion carried unanimously. Going to number 2, consideration and possible action of order 2018-06-038, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Nogales and Santa Cruz County for the joint operation of primary and general elections in 2018.
Move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Second, open for discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of approving signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? None. Motion carried unanimously. Number 3, consideration and possible action of order 2018-06-039, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, approving a legislative accessory use for Vertical Bridge Wireless to install a new 80-foot stealth wireless communications facility at West Keno Street, Nogales, Arizona 85621, Santa Cruz County Assessor Parcel number 101-25-191. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve, Mayor.
Second.
Okay, open for discussion.
No, Mayor, I support this because almost this came in with a recommendation from the planning and zoning.
Okay, also,
Oh, you're the applicant. Okay, so as long as it comes in with a recommendation. Where's Mr. Dillon?
he's on vacation.
Oh. Okay, so if
Okay.
it came in, I support.
All right, and we have Councilman Lucero?
You recognize me, Mayor?
Yes, I finally did.
I thought we'd just start talking.
I've had Councilman Barona's face right in front of me all night. So.
You didn't recognize me, though. You just start talking. Mayor, I just want to make sure in the notification process that, just for the record, that we did follow it, because usually what happens is once the tower goes up, everybody in the neighborhood comes out and says, no one told us about this, and then they come back to mayor and council and start complaining. So I just want to make sure that we follow the process, everyone was notified, and no one complained, correct?
Especially being on
Well, I think there was one complaint out there, but I don't see him here today. So
Was there any complaints that?
No, the mayor and I went out to the property and looked at the site and were convinced that there was no issues with the property itself.
All right, thank you.
I think the problem over there was that I think there was another piece of land that the city has, and they thought it was going to be on that one instead of this parcel.
Thank you, Mayor.
So, are we ready now to go ahead and, any more discussion? Good. All those in favor of approving this order signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Motion carried unanimous. Going to number 4, consideration and possible action of Order 2018-06-040, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, adopting an amendment to the City Personnel Manual, Section 5.02, regarding probationary period for police dispatchers.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Okay, open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor, Dr. Felix, your recommendation?
That we approve this. The dispatchers is a source of hiring for the police department, and they'd like an opportunity to view the personnel for an extended period of time, similar to what the police officers are, serve a 1-year probation.
Okay.
Your Honor.
City manager's recommendation.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion?
Dr. Varona, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Varona, as a follow-up to the comments by Dr. Felix, it's also imperative from a law enforcement standpoint, as Chief Bermudez has expressed to me, that a longer period of time be allowed for these dispatchers. Most of them, or some of them, have continued on with the Nogales Police Department, and so again, the chief is requesting that extension, and I realize that it's an amendment to the personnel manual. I mean, the personnel manual just came before this council just a couple months ago for a total review. But this will be a supplement, an amendment to our personnel manual. And my suggestion to Dr. Felix is that every other year that personnel manual be reviewed, and the adoptions that are made, or I should say the amendments that are made in the course of those 2 years, be implemented in the entire personnel manual the way they were just a few months ago. So, yeah, that's my recommendation.
Okay. Any other questions by the council, or comments, or any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? None. Motion carried unanimous. Down to number 5, consideration and possible action of Order 2018-06-041, an order of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2018-19, scheduling a public hearing of the budget, authorizing a publication of the budget and notice of hearing for 2 consecutive weeks as required by law, accepting a proposal from the Arizona Municipal Risk Retention Pool for workers' compensation insurance for fiscal year 2018-19, and accepting a proposal from the Arizona Municipal Risk Retention Pool for risk insurance, property and liability, and the employee health insurance premiums.
So moved.
Finance and City, do you have any comments on that? Before we... No? You're okay? Okay, open. So,
No comments, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
I'll go ahead and have a motion to approve.
Yeah, Councilman Genesian made it.
So moved.
Oh, man, you guys
second
are
it.
quick on me tonight.
Quiere ir para la casa.
And then open for discussion. And that way.
For the city attorney, can this be considered an emergency deal, or do we have to do 2 weeks?
We do have to do 2 weeks by law.
Do we have to do 2 weeks? We just can't go
For
ahead
purposes
and
of the budget.
do the deal. All right, that was the question.
Yes, Councilman Barone.
Just to make sure, because there was a dialogue here that we wanted some more time to discuss the budget and everything. So now what we're doing, just to make sure everybody understands the ramification, if we approve this, all we can do is lower the amount of money. We cannot increase it anymore. So as long, thought we were going to have more discussion on this and wait off on this until we, but I guess I'm kind of outvoted here. But if that's what.
Well, I mean, is it, no.
Because I know you guys get together and all these things in the back room over there.
No. I haven't talked to anyone really about this, so let's, I want to hear the council out.
Well, I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Along maybe your rationale, maybe. But there was something that was interesting when we were going through this earlier. And that fell under the responsibility of the mayor and the council. And of course, once we give an approval of the budget, we basically give the city manager and staff our blessing, right? Even though we're not involved on the day-to-day operations of the city, and we're not, but it's a city manager form of government. I think there's accountability with staff as well. I mean, I'm willing to take the responsibility, and if I make a mistake, I'll admit to it. But I think accountability and responsibility should also fall on the city manager, of course, and staff, that we run our budget properly. So I concur with you. And I know that if there needs to be a little bit more time, and there is that responsibility that falls in us, there's no need to hurry this at all. So I concur with you. I think this is the backbone of the city, right. The budget, right. The most important document. And if I think that if only one needs a little bit more time, I think we should respect that.
And that's our biggest responsibility.
And it is. I mean, waiting that amount of time, I think that you raise a good point.
So, yeah.
Why not discuss it a little bit more?
Yeah, okay. Do you yield to Councilman?
I do yield.
Thank you,
yes,
Councilmember Rojas, Vice Mayor Rojas. I don't have a problem with it, but it's a process that we're gonna push back, because all we're doing is adopting a tentative budget. My question during the study session was, when we do the final adoption, we would have more discussion before we approve the final budget. But correct me if I'm wrong, if we do not take action on this, we're gonna now set into place re-advertising. We have to do another public hearing, and because there's a statutory process that is entailed when you adopt the budget.
I think we have to do another public hearing, because we have until July to approve this.
So unless we went over the limit.
I'll defer to the finance director on what process we have to follow.
So once the tentative budget is approved, we are required to advertise it in the newspaper for 2 consecutive weeks, and then hold a public hearing prior to the approval of the final budget.
But that's once it's approved.
Yeah, once a tentative is approved.
So it's not approved tonight.
If it's not approved, but by law, we have to approve the budget by the 3rd week in July, is it?
Yeah, but so the final budget.
The final budget.
The final budget.
Right,
so if we don't approve this tentative budget right now, because we might want to make some changes, look, we can still delay this, and we can still meet the legal requirements by July.
So just some speculation, based on the holiday, the 4th of July is a Wednesday, so there won't be a meeting that day. It will be till the following week, which is July 11th. So let's say you decide to approve the tentative budget at that point, then we would advertise the following week, which would be the 17th and the 24th. So then we're out the 3 weeks that we have in July to approve the final budget.
But we could approve the tentative budget next week.
But I think, from what I understand, you have other commitments? You've got the retreat, and then you have a
Or we
Nogales
could call a
conference.
special meeting.
Yeah, some of us were talking about on
Or
our
we
number.
could just approve it now.
On Thursday of, after the 4th of July.
Right, or we could do it then.
Yeah.
Even though I think we could still get together at the last week of June and do this. I'm just trying to see how everybody feels here, because I want to spend some time. I don't want to feel like last year.
I
don't
think
wanna
you're
do it.
correct.
This
I
is
feel the
most
same way.
important thing that we do is the budget. After that, we turn it over to the city manager, and he manages it from then on.
Exactly.
I think we should give it more time.
Didn't we mention about a special meeting
Well-
on June 27th?
That would have been to approve the final budget. Yes.
So on June 27th, let's do the tentative budget.
So we could do it June 27th.
We would do it June 27th, and then we would advertise it July 3rd and July 10th, and then possibly have the public hearing on the 11th, and then approve the final budget.
And we would still be within our legal parameters. Because I don't want to get into any violation of the
Right.
law.
So we're good if we do that.
Do you
So we
recommend
wanna-
that?
Do we do a table on this and then make a motion, or?
Well, Mr. Mayor, first of all, allow me, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Barona, to answer the question. If it's within that time frame that you just stated, it would be within the parameters of the law. There's a motion on the floor, there's a second. I believe Councilman Hanessian made the motion. He could proceed to withdraw his motion, he could proceed to table his motion, or you all could proceed to a vote. Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Navarro, you want to continue with the vote?
I don't know, is everybody basically on deal to delay it? You
I
know,
wanna
my opinion
vote on
is
it.
we're just delaying, it would be inevitable, right?
I want to vote on it.
I believe that it just gives more time to go through it, and if we need to make a
Not
change.
retired like certain members over here have all the time in the world to go to meetings.
But you know, he's got a good eagle eye, and he might bring something to the council.
He had how many weeks to go
Need-
through it with
need
his eagle eye?
attention, but
Thank you, Mayor Doyle. I'm glad we're getting some positive feedback from you and not the other one.
Okay.
I would think the most liberal council member that likes to spend would have looked at everything thoroughly.
Do you agree to table?
I agree, I'll agree to table it, as long as the
Not withdrawing
parameters
my-
are involved, right? That we're not
Yeah.
gonna be rushed to having to do it
Yeah, I don't
on
know.
a certain day, and for whatever reason, the
Just-
people can't be here and we don't have a quorum.
Right, no, we can do it, but the only item on the agenda is just the budget. Don't put any other items on the agenda.
all right.
So is it a table or is it a motion?
Councilman Venetian, are you willing to table this?
Would it be proper just to table it, or do we vote on it?
If we have the legal time.
Hey,
or-
Councilman, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Hanessian, probably if and again, I defer to you, Councilman Hanessian, as to your decision, but allow me to advise you
Make a motion to
that
table it,
if
move
you
on.
were to withdraw your motion and/or
I'm not going to withdraw my second, so you might as well make a motion to table it and move on.
Make a motion.
well, if you withdraw your motion though, and regardless of whether Councilman Lucero does not agree with his your withdrawal, the motion still dies unless another motion is taken up.
Well, I go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and table the item.
Do we have second? Okay.
Is there a second to that motion?
Do we need any more discussion? No?
Discuss the table.
Then we're gonna vote on
table.
table. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. There will be a vote on tabling it.
Can you table to a specific date?
You can, however, what we're tabling is the tentative, the publication of adopting the tentative budget for the fiscal year 2018-2019. And so there is a particular date that was
The 27th of June.
and I don't believe that was stated in the motion to table. So
I believe it was that it would be voted on the 27th.
right.
It was
So
in the order.
It would be voted on the 27th on the tentative budget.
Right.
No, for final approval.
So that would be June the 27th?
Yes. So
we have basically, you're talking about 1 week to, if we have to do another.
It's not the final.
it's a tentative.
The final was going to be on the 27th, but now it's going to be the tentative budget on the 27th.
7th, and then they would make the final budget
On July
2
11th.
weeks later?
Yeah.
That's correct.
And
Is that your motion, Councilman Anesia?
Yes, that would be the motion.
And my second to his is on the 27th, so everybody knows, and the meeting starts at 3 o'clock.
No.
You can make it at 3?
No.
What time can you make it at? Can't you postpone the
5 or 6?
baseball game? Can you?
Nope.
Baseball game can?
Five or 6 is the time. Does that work with you? Does that?
5 o'clock is okay with me. I just thought it was earlier for some people.
Okay, then we'll.
Call you at midnight.
We'll set it. We'll set the time at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, would you have, Councilman Diaz may be out of town at that time too.
Maybe, I'm not sure yet, but
I might be out of town too.
I have a trip pending.
Might as well vote today.
But then again, at least it gives you the opportunity to go over it, because this is the budget. This is the biggest thing that we do, and I just want to give ample time for everyone to go over it the way they should, that they feel comfortable, and that's basically what we're doing. We might not make any changes, who knows, but at least we had the time to look at it the way we should.
Call for the question.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the tabling this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Pass unanimously.
Oh, it didn't pass.
You said aye?
No, I voted aye on the no.
Oh, okay. So that was a nay then?
It was a nay.
Okay.
That was a nay.
Motion passed. 1 nay. Okay. Now we go. Now we go to ordinances. Number 9. 1. Consideration and possible action of ordinance 02018-06-003. Second reading of an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nogales, Arizona, amending ordinance number 20X, City of Nogales zoning ordinance, and rezoning approximately 55 acres of undeveloped land from MFR and SFR to light industry LI. Okay.
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Open for discussion.
The only thing is on this that I was reading, Mr. Mayor, are you still going to put the park in there? There was a thing that you wanted to put a park in there, and then the planning and zoning said that shouldn't be a part of it. I just want to make sure you're going to put a park in there.
Can't answer for back there. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Joe Bart. Yeah, there's actually a detention pond that we want to make into a park and use that area for a park. It is within this rezoned area. Doesn't matter whether it's in or out, we're still going to do that with it. I'll also add that there's, as we grow, there's an area between Lomas Mariposas and Coronado School that road plans to go through. Where that crosses the drainage, we're also considering that to be a good place for park and public use. So.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, Mayor, because we talk about parks all the time.
Right.
That's a fairly small one, and there's enough room for like a soccer field and a few picnic tables.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Just a question, what are we talking about? Are we talking about an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres? What basically are we talking about?
I don't know the acreage of it. I know it's, we laid it out, we enlarged it enough that we could fit a soccer field and a few picnic tables. So it's not very big, this particular one. Like I say, we're multi-purposing an
an area that will be detention after a heavy storm. Otherwise, it's quite usable for this. So this one's fairly small. The one further north, off the end of Lomas Mariposas, could be significantly larger. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
So, well, considering the soccer field, there could be a track put around it where they can walk and.
Yeah, it could be a walking path around it.
Right.
It could be some other use, but we were trying to make it big enough that it had a dual purpose. It had some other function to it.
So you could put maybe a little space there, put some, you could put playground equipment, swing set or.
Yeah, yeah. We have a layout of it, and we have a lot of stuff sort of pushed into this layout, trying to show different things you can do with it.
Mr. Mayor, and, on the final, once they approve the final, exactly what you want to do, would those parks be shown then? Well, because you're going to replot the 55 acres, you're going to obviously subdivide the whole deal.
Right.
Right. So I mean, finally, when you get for the approval on the way you want to divide it, will it show that? Will that be shown? The parks then would be shown at that time?
Yes. Yes, it's a portion of it, and it's. I think the total is 158 acres. Is that subdivision?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the park is already shown as part of that.
Okay, so the 55 acres is actually just part of the.
Yeah.
Have the other acres already been zoned light commercial?
The other acres are already industrial. It was actually an industrial subdivision several years ago, but it didn't ever go completely through. And so this time we redid it, and because the usages are much larger these days, we added to it so that we could make the lot sizes people are after these days. We still have about 700 acres of residential up there. We're hoping that the market turns and we can use that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Barr. Any other questions or discussion from the council?
You don't want to table it?
Okay, we'll call for the question then. All those in favor of approving this ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Saying none? Motion carried unanimously. Going to number 2, consideration and possible action of ordinance 02018-06-004, an ordinance adopting City of Nogales procurement policy and codifying same as City Code, Chapter 9, Finance and Taxation, Article 1, Procurement, Sections 9-1 through 9-25. Do you have a motion? Okay, second. All right. Open for discussion.
I think this is a great to make our government more efficient, but just to remember that this council is putting a lot of trust in the city manager and our chief financial officer, which is fine, but I just want you to realize that, because once we approve the budget, the rest is up to you. But I think this will make us more efficient, less stuff that really has to come to the council for consideration, and it gives you more authority to get these projects, get them going and everything. But I just want you to know, it puts a lot of our confidence into the both.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments, discussion? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor of approving this ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
Mr. Pana had
Didn't look
something.
this way.
Wanted to
We
make
gotta
sure
hear it.
who made the motion and who seconded
Oh,
the
okay.
motion.
Second, I don't know who made it.
I made it.
Mr. Rojas made the motion, Mr. Dr. Barona,
No.
Dr.
Lucero?
Councilman Lucero. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice
And,
Mayor made it, I seconded it.
Go ahead and proceed, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we'll go again. All those in favor of approving this ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, any nays? Seeing none? Motion carried unanimously.
Mr. Mayor, if it's approved unanimous, the request to waive the second reading on that particular ordinance.
Oh, okay, there was a second meeting.
Motion to waive the second reading.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Saying none? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we go to future agenda items. Seeing none, all those in favor of adjourning, say.
I surrender. I surrendered, Councilman Lucero.
Yes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No nays. Motion carried unanimous.
Study,
Take your budget book. I guarantee you, reservation.
Next week.
No, I needed my
Reservation or
Friday.
what?
Can you just explain why you wanted to
Oh, for the.
specifically
Remember earlier in the budget when I said